You know, sometimes when you're making videos, you make a lot of promises. Promises like, Gex 3 soon. I'm totally gonna get to it for my next video, and I promise I'm doing great. And I'm not going through a non-stop mental breakdown fueled by a talking lizard. And I'm going to start finishing my projects off in something resembling a timely manner. I always keep true to my promises, which is why I'm going to continue shirking my responsibilities by playing something completely different. Primordia is a dystopian cyberpunk point-and-click adventure game developed by Wormwood Studios back in the distant year of 2012, set in a very distant future, where greed, capitalism, and insanity run free. And this Xbox Series X is a major antagonist. In Primordia plays a duo of Horatio and Null-built version 5, who kinda sounds like Denton from Deus Ex, and honestly kinda acts like him a bit too.
This is no time for sitting around.
But he's version 5, what happened to versions 4 through 1? What is his history? Who exactly is he? You don't know at first, and by the end you might not be too sure either. It's complicated. With Horatio's Crispin, this flying little nugget. If you've ever played Sam and Max before, he's actually very similar to Max in some ways. They're there to talk to give hints, drive parts of the story, and generally to lighten the mood of this hellscape you call home. They live in the dunes, a sandy wasteland full of scraps and remains from ancient civilizations ranging from a junkyard, a mentally damaged giant robot, a bomb that is used as an altar to the civilization of man, and this giant dome-shaped idea as to why they might not be around anymore. This also serves as the main character's home. This broken down ship called the Unique, which serves as a way for the two robots to maintain their electrical charge and where they live. After upgrading the power cell in the ship, this Xbox shows up, takes your shit, and leaves you for dead, leaving you to attempt to either find a replacement or get your original power supply back. This game is incredibly well written. From the onset, you're not really dealing with a living, breathing world, but more of a dying, suffocating one, with characters who are either scarred from the past or have chosen to forget it entirely. Between the dunes and Metropole, a city that has fallen into relative squalor due to forces at hand. Every character is incredibly well written, with a lot of dialogue and information to take in, and you will have to take that in. Horatio is pretty likable, but he isn't perfect, having a bit of a temper despite his overall kind nature and being pretty dry and single-minded in his goals. And Crispin's a good foil to that, being a little bit more lighthearted. And later, as you come to meet other characters, good and bad, you won't help but liking every single one of them a little bit, from the swindler on the streets to the rhyming criminal underground, to even the unimportant side characters that just have a single line of dialogue. This is a world where language developed where swearing references computer terms, and bartering goods isn't the only way to get by. You're forced to make choices for these characters. They all have their needs and desires and issues, some of which you aren't going to be able to solve. Some of these people you aren't going to be able to protect, and you can't always save everyone. And likewise, no one's really looking out for you either, and that's okay as long as you make it out alive. This isn't a happy world. Its people aren't happy, its environments are dead, and it's cracking apart at the seams. That said, it's weirdly comfy, actually. Without power, Horatio will die, and so will Crispin, but you're also going to have to ask yourself if what you're doing is truly the right thing in the end. This game's soundtrack adds a lot too. It really helps sell the somber mood of this world. It's all really melancholic. And even if this won't be on my party playlist anytime soon, all these tracks are really enjoyable on their own. Between this and the beautiful pixel artwork, it really has this atmosphere to it that's hard to describe, ranging from cold comfort to almost eerie. Gameplay. Primordia is a standard point-and-click adventure game at a glance, and that's because, well, it is, but it does it really well. There's a lot of small things you have to pay attention to if you're going to make it really far in this game. Puzzles may have multiple solutions, but which is the best one? You have to pay attention to what's around you, what people are saying, recognize patterns, and know not only what items to use, but when to combine them and when to be paying attention to what's around them. Even with the small amount of space you visit throughout the game, there is a lot to do here and a lot to take in. And doing everything you can, paying attention and looking deeper than you first think is the key if you're going to make it out in one piece. Generally speaking, the easiest way through might not be the best, and it's up to you to figure out where to go, what to do, and how to do it. I actually recommend having a piece of paper or a notebook with you and taking notes on some things. And luckily on top of that, the game will log most of this information you need for you, because otherwise you'd be running page after page trying to work out all these people's besotting drama so you can get your crap back. It's very fulfilling to solve a puzzle without help, and the game encourages using your head instead of going just balls to the wall, to the point of downright criticizing your decisions if you act too hasty or try to take the easy way out. Now, some people, like our good friends at IGN, may say Horatio and the other characters are a bit stiff in their movements, but I mean, guys, they're robots and they're held together by scrap metal and prayers. Like, there's actual lore behind why this is the case. Besides, Horatio moving like a, well, like a ward down RoboCop isn't really the end of the world when you can just fast travel literally everywhere, which I forgot about until 3/4 through the game. I had a friend right behind me yelling at me to use the goddamn map. Feels good. Criticisms. This game is great, but it's not perfect. Crispin is honestly a little bit useless after the first half in terms of mechanics, taking on a more supporty role shortly after arriving Metropole, and I'm a little bit bummed about that. It was fun to have puzzles that required him to help you progress, and there are places he probably could have been useful in my opinion that just didn't happen. Second, you are going to want to save often because there are some points you can totally besot up your save permanently, and I don't want you to come crying to me when you get turned into a corpse by your next-gen pre-order. Some puzzles are a little bit cryptic, and it is going to require you to do a lot of searching for the right answers. Like all point-and-click games, if you miss something, you might be looking for a little while, and you really have to pay attention to what's going on to fully understand the world if you hope for anything resembling a happy ending. And I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple times the answer is a bit confusing. Finally, there can be a little bit of backtracking, and it can get a little bit out of hand at points. I really wish there was a little bit more space to roam in, even if it goes against the design philosophy of this game, just to give you a little bit more room for interactions with some characters who go relatively unused, and to really space out talking to some of the characters you go back to a lot. With that said, I also feel like this would negatively impact the vibe of the game, so I understand why this didn't happen. It's just how I feel, you know. Conclusion. Primordia is an amazing experience. Buy it. Play it. It's on sale right now on GOG for just over 3 Canadian buckaroos, and it's worth every penny. On the fence, well, the creators actually made a spoiler-free epilogue continuing the story from the main game. It's pretty good. And if you like it, you'll love the game. I loved every minute going through Primordia. I enjoyed how it made me think, and I see myself going back to it real soon to go over all the little things I missed. And I imagine I'll be doing so for a long, long time. Thank you.
My hopes have died before my eyes, a burning